This is so dumb. Send me the paperwork and I'll make sure that we get you paid. I was like, it was all a text. She's like, well, we can't get into his phone. Nobody knows his password. So I don't know what it was. We're going back and forth on this. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I not have paperwork? This is so stupid. No agreement. No, here's the clean cut and dry. What happens if this? What happens if that? What's the return? All of that. I broke a pretty big rule. I used to be a contractor for a very long time, all the way from 20 to about 35. I was a contractor. What you do as a contractor is you have homeowners that have a house and they want to expand it, let's say, and they want to spend money on that expansion. So what do? They hire me, right? Here's me, Pace, the contractor. And what did I do? I went out to all my subcontractors and I found all the subcontractors, like the painter, the electrician, the contractor that did the concrete, the framer, the roofer. I would go out and I would find the guys to go do the work and I would coordinate all of that. I was the general contractor, right? GC. Well, obviously I build a good relationship with all these guys that work with me. And so these guys get paid for me almost every Friday and we work with each other on all these projects, have a lot of fun. But one day I get a call from one of my top painters. His name is Ruben Dominguez. Okay. Ruben Dominguez. He owns a company called Bullseye Paint. You guys can look him up. He's awesome. We still use him to this day, all these years later. And Ruben calls me up and he goes, Pace, I need a loan for $6,000 to cover my payroll. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, did my team not pay you? He goes, no. I did a project for a different contractor. And because he's a new customer of mine, my bank put a hold on his check. I go, okay, so you need $6,000. Cool. When are you going to pay me back? He says, I'll pay you back Tuesday. Cool. I say to Ruben, hey man, if I pay you this $6,000 or if I loan the $6,000 to you, when will you be able to pay me my $6,000 back? And he says, I can pay you back on Tuesday. Awesome. Easy. How much are you going to pay me back? And he says, I will pay you $6,000. I'm like, Ruben, no. I understand you're going to pay me my $6,000 back. What do I make on top of that? And he goes, I will pay you $6,000 for your money you gave me or you loaned me, and I will pay you $6,000 on top of that. This is how badly I need the money. I'm like, you're joking me. You're freaking joking me. And so I did a bunch of things wrong. I want to teach you guys why I bring this strategy to a lot of people. I did a bunch of things wrong. The first thing I did wrong is I said yes, and I had no paperwork, okay? I had zero paperwork. It was just a handshake. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this works out. Tuesday comes along. He wires me to Bank of America. He wires me $12,000. I made all my $6,000 back plus my $6,000 return. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. If Ruben needs that because he's got shortages of capital, what if I start doing this with all of my guys? So I went out to my electricians, my concrete guys, my framers. I started going out to everybody and just texting them manually and going, if you ever have a shortage of cash and you need some temporary money, please use me. Guys, this is happening all around you, right? Like these payday loan places and these title lending companies, it's happening all the time. You guys see them on the corner stores all the time. What ends up happening is Ruben ends up paying me. And I'm like, I want to go light the world on fire. So I start texting everybody. Next thing you know, I'm doing hundreds of deals a year, but I was doing it wrong. And I was breaking 3 rules that I want to teach you guys right now. 3 rules. Number 1, you need the paperwork. Okay. And I'll tell you why this became a problem. I know all these guys. They're working with me. He's painting a house. I know that if he screws me on a loan, I can have him paint some houses for me. So I was protected to a certain degree. But what happened is I had a landscaper that I had loaned about $8,000 to, and I broke all 3 rules with this guy. And in that process of him having a loan of mine, he dies. And he, of course, his business falls apart, and I have to go to his widow like 3 or 4 months after he had passed away. And I said, hey, I'm sorry to bring this to you. It's just business. But I loaned Rosalio $8,000 and I need to get that back. She goes, no problem. Send me the paperwork. We got his life insurance check. We're all good. We have cash. Send me the paperwork and I'll make sure that we get you paid. I was like, it was all a text. She's like, well, we can't get into his phone. Nobody knows his password. So I don't know what it was. And I'm like, we're going back and forth on this. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I not have paperwork? This is so stupid. This is so dumb. And I didn't have any paperwork, no agreement, no, here's the clean cut and dry. What happens if this? What happens if that? What's the return? All of that. I broke a pretty big rule. And the good thing is, his wife, still got me paid, but I just took the $8,000 and I didn't get a return on it because we had nowhere proving what the agreement was. So I got my $8,000 back and I said, I'm never going to let that happen. And so I went out and I started spending, $20,000 on an attorney and $30,000 on another attorney. And overall, I think I spent about $100,000 plus on getting all my paperwork all dialed in. And I still spent about $25,000 a year on attorneys updating my contracts in all 50 plus states. So yes, this works in all 50 states. I update the paperwork for my students so they have access to all of that stuff. So the paperwork was a big rule I was breaking. The second rule I broke is that I did not have collateral. I did not protect myself. So for example, I should have had Rosalio or Ruben give me equipment, a truck, a trailer, paint sprayers or something as collateral. And I didn't do that. And so I was in a situation where I'm just like, yeah, willy-nilly, let me just lend money to you guys. And I made some mistakes. And I never lost any money with any of my guys, which was good. But there were a lot of close calls where I'm like, if you can't pay me back, I need to figure out, maybe I take your truck. But that was never in the agreement. Maybe I take that. Maybe I take that trailer and I go sell it and I get paid back. I'm like, gosh, dang it. So I went to another attorney and I started learning about collateral. I started learning, how do I protect myself and how do I do deals where I protect my downside? And this is something that if you're a brand new student of mine, you don't have to worry about this, but I'll tell you what we're doing behind the scenes. I had a student bring a gentleman to me. His name is Bill and Greg, a little partnership. Okay, Bill and Greg are running a Walmart operation. And what they're doing is they're doing a really cool deal with Walmart where they have 2,000 stores of Walmart and they are renting the space in the front of Walmart for $4,500 a month. And then they re-rent it out for $8,500 to someone else. So they're just arbitraging. The problem is Greg and Bill need $200,000 to build this out. And I'm sitting here going, well, there is no collateral here. Like Bill and Greg are doing Walmart contracts. I'm not going to be able to protect myself with Walmart's collateral. So my student who brought this deal to us says, hey, this guy needs $200,000 to do this project. Can we do a deal like this? And I said, yes, but we need to make sure these guys have collateral. So what did we do? We worked with Bill and Greg when we found out that Bill and Greg owned an Airbnb, paid off free and clear. And they also owned 2 pieces of land, paid off free and clear. And so we gave them a $200,000 partnership deposit. They now pay us $200,000 a year. So my student who brought this deal to the table makes $100,000 a year on this one relationship. But this $200,000 deal we gave them, we went out and collateralized $450,000 for my $200,000 loan. Does anybody understand why I would do that? What ends up happening is I have to go and take those properties back, right? I have to go and figure out how to get that money. And I have to go figure out how to go sell those pieces of property to get my capital back. Okay. And I have to be able to put myself in a situation where all the expenses of taking those properties back and selling those properties gets me not only my $200,000 return, but also gets me my $200,000 basis. And it also gives me some money to pay for attorneys and all of those types of things, if that makes sense. And so I wasn't doing collateral. I wasn't protecting myself in any which way to make sure that I was safe and my money was safe and I could actually go and get it back, if that makes sense. Those were the first 2 rules I was breaking. It was the lack of collateral and lack of paperwork. Then the third rule that I was breaking is that I was using my own money. Okay. I was using my own money. And so what happened is I ran out of money. I was doing enough deals with all my contractors and helping them out, funding all their deals. I ended up running out of capital and having to go and join a mentorship. I spent about $100,000 learning how to get access to capital. So I get now my capital, for you guys to understand where my money comes from, is I go to big hedge funds when it's appropriate. I go to family offices. Some of you guys don't know what a family office is. I go to pension funds, and then I go to individual investors, and then I get big lines of credit as well. And I teach my students how to do the same thing. So as you guys scale and you guys want to go out and do some of these deals yourself, I will show you how to get access to this capital like I did. But I had to go and spend a lot of money in a couple of years learning this so that I could go and build an entire empire by going, okay, well, I don't want to use my own money anymore. I keep running out of money. I keep running out of places to pull money from. And so I went out, I got educated, and I spent about 1.5 years doing that. And so those were the 3 rules I broke: lack of paperwork, lack of collateral, and then lack of using my own money. I was just pouring my own money out, and I was running out of capital, and heaven forbid bad things happen. So what I do with people now that end up joining and partnering with me on deals is those people end up using my capital. They end up using my paperwork. They end up using my team. And so you don't have to worry about those things. You don't have to worry about the paperwork. I'll teach you how to use the paperwork, but I'll teach you how to use the paperwork while I do deals with you. My team will actually work on the collateral. My team will manage all of those types of things. So you don't have to worry about the collateral either. The third one is my team will bring capital from outside sources, and we deploy that capital, and we have the risk, not you. And then over the course of working with me, you can then learn how to get access to your own capital if you choose to not want to partner with me long-term. You not knowing what I know is actually good for me for the first 3 or 4 deals we do together. Once you learn everything I know, you'll just go make the money without me. And that's a good thing. I'll train you on that too, but I want to train you on your first couple of deals to work with me and know less. The less you know, the better.